According to one released email, Jeffrey Epstein claimed that he was, quote, the one able to take Trump down, which is pretty big talk for a guy who lost to a bedsheet.
They love death more than we love life. The Democrat Party. Hey, let's do a funny one about that guy killing himself in a jail cell to, cover up for the Democrat Party. It's the long cover-up, Well, very happy Monday to you, and welcome back. We are at 888-630-9625. President Trump over the weekend announced, all right, the Republicans in the House of Representatives should release all of the Jeffrey Epstein documents, emails. The Democrats leaked some to the Washington Post last week, very, very selectively. 2 or 3 emails, which they heavily redacted, noted down to 3 or 4 consecutive words. And was it the New York Times or the Washington Post? What's the difference, honestly? But the Krupniks, boy, they're a corrupt bunch of people. And now President Trump saying, yeah, let's release all those Epstein files. And I've got to say, that sounds like a good idea. I think that you had that idea during the presidential campaign. And remember, the documents were there at the Justice Department on the desk of the Attorney General, and they were not released. But they talked about releasing them. And now it's way past time. The Democrats are evil, sinister, nefarious, corrupt people, and they're going to pick through there and once again excise 2 or 3 or 4 words and give them to Time magazine and whoever else will carry their water for them. But it's about time, I've got to say. The headlines are everywhere now. Trump backs vote to release Epstein files in sharp reversal. Yes and no, a little back and forth, I've got to say. And I think they just should have released the dang things a long time ago. But never mind that. The headline from the left-wing radical extremists at Mediaite, "Nothing to hide," is the headline, in quotation marks. Trump urges Republicans to release Epstein files after some GOP members fell into the Democrat Party's trap. As true, everything is a sinister trap with them because they're very creepy people. And a lot of it has to do with their sexual issues, of which they have a great many. But it is about time, and let's go ahead and release them. The vote may take place today in the House of Representatives, and if there are 22,000, 23,000 documents that the Republicans have in the House of Representatives, release 22,000 or 23,000, release all of them. And I got to tell you, I've felt all along that Jeffrey Epstein being a lifelong Democrat and everything, Ghislaine Maxwell being a lifelong Democrat and everything, President Trump, who was thought to be a Democrat until he came down the escalator and announced that he was running for president as a Republican. Even Oprah loved him. They all loved him. But this is quite remarkable. The Democrats are going to be all over the Jeffrey Epstein thing more than we talked about it on Friday with Bill Clinton dozens of times on the airplane, Lolita One, and Bill Clinton inviting Jeffrey Epstein over to the Bill Clinton White House more than a dozen times. Hey, come on over to the White House. Come to my house. And remarkable stuff. Release all the documents. I'm not, if they had anything to release that was incriminating about Trump, they would have, in the documents, the Democrats would have released them already because they get a bunch of flying monkeys to comb through the stacks of tens of thousands of emails and documents, and they really just do word searches for Trump's name, and then they edit and redact and turn it into something even creepier than it already is, if that's possible, and then they release them selectively to bootlicks at the Washington Post and the New York Times and beyond. So release all the documents, and then conservatives are going to have to go through to try to tell the truth about it because, CNN and the Washington Post are going to lie about it and lie about it and lie about it. So that was Saturday Night Live, of course, with the very funny thing about the guy hanging himself in his jail cell because the Democrats didn't want him talking. So now he's dead because the left is in charge of the Democrat Party, and they love nothing more than death. Gosh, they love death, don't they? So nothing to hide. Trump urges Republicans to release the Epstein files. And the media saying, oh, that's because Republicans fell into the Democrat trap. Yeah. Sure. So we got that going on. Speaking of transgender Democrats, and there are many of them. In fact, it might be all of them at this point. The radical left-wing extremist Democrat governor of the state of Massachusetts appointed a male person to the Women's Commission in the state because he dresses like a lady. He dresses like, and that means he's, a cross-dresser. And the Democrats say, no, he's a woman. Why is he a woman? Because he says so. All right, well, you'll never guess what I say about you, but never mind that. Democrat Governor Maura Healey has appointed a biologically male transgender activist. When you say biologically male, that means a man. See, that means male. You don't have to say biologically. The word male means biologically male. You don't have to add this superfluous language for no reason whatsoever. So Democrat left-wing idiot Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey has appointed a biologically male transgender activist to the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, a state-run body presenting itself as a voice for women and girls. And that's why they put this hairy, overweight man on the thing. But never mind that. The move has drawn withering criticism from faith-based groups and should be from every woman in America, but liberal women have all put the stupid gun in their mouths. So we got that. Faith-based groups that say that the state is moving further away from recognizing biological reality. So they said something that is true. Healey selected Giselle Bird. I wonder if he's related to Ghislaine Maxwell. What do you think? Could be. Giselle Bird is just a G word. Never mind. A biological male who identifies as a woman, but he's not, to serve as a commissioner. Bird also works as an executive director of the Theater Offensive in Boston. That's left-wing. They put on a show and dance around and high kick and, flash and things like that. And has held roles in LGBTQ advocacy organizations. The commission announced the appointment alongside another Healey appointee. This is the Democrat Party very, very unwell. So we've got that going. I went and pulled the bio on this person, Giselle Bird, the MCSW Program and Planning Committee Vice Chairman. They really are the Soviet Union. Wherever they go, they bring with them the sensibilities of Soviet communism. Just amazing. Yeah, Giselle Bird, who's a man, here's a picture of a man trying to look like a lady, is the executive director of the Theater Offensive, I'm offended, located in Boston, Mass., where her, meaning his, the first black trans woman, meaning a man, apparently black, but no telling for sure, to lead a regional theater company in the United States. What? The first transgender black woman, meaning man, to lead a regional theater company in the United States. 500 years from now, they're still going to be coming up with these really ridiculous things. It's, the first black transgender dwarf to drive the E-Line bus on Connecticut Avenue in Washington, D.C. Oh, wow. More headlines for the cross-dressing community. There, she, meaning he, is passionately continuing and amplifying the theater's mission for uplifting and elevating the work of queer and transgender artists of color and LGBTQIA2S plus youth and their allies. And their allies? Really? And their allies wasn't already in there with the plus and the two spirits and stuff? They got the 2S plus. This is a mental illness. I was sure. Yeah, we've got some audio actually for you today when I was telling you about the Wall Street Journal piece last week by the psychoanalyst who has identified Trump derangement syndrome as an actual legitimate mental illness. Well, he was invited on TV over the weekend, and we've got audio from him to share with you today as well, because TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, is definitely a certifiable mental illness. But we've got this, and then the Democrats, like the governor of Massachusetts, appoints a man who says he's a woman to be on a commission that is supposed to guarantee the well-being of women and girls, and they got this dude who doesn't look like a lady, but never mind that. So I want to get back to that because they're really just amazing. And in the meantime, the Democrats are trying to break out every illegal alien gang member in every jail and prison in the United States, and they say, "Oh no, they're all innocent. They're all innocent." Never mind the long list of murders and rapes and everything else by the gang members and it turns out that Latin American culture is not identical to American culture, particularly when it comes to child sex abuse. But the Democrats, they're kind of in cahoots with the not Team America, they're Team anybody else. But here's another example of what the ICE people are dealing with, that the Democrats are advocating for the bad guys. Convicted killer and most wanted gang member with 666 tattooed on his forehead, busted by ICE. He's got the mark of the beast of Satan tattooed on his forehead, and the Democrats want to turn their daughter over to him. They only have one daughter. They want to turn their daughter over. Isn't that amazing? Also, U.S. Border Patrol arrested 81 people the first day of their Charlotte crackdown. Charlotte's Web is the name of the operation. 81 arrested, and the Democrats are out there violently trying to break them free like they are Central American gang members themselves because they're all mental. And speaking of Democrats being on the loose as well, in New York City, you've heard of it. It's in the news quite frequently. They have a football team there. They got a professional football team, the New York Jets, where they have a professional football player, Chris Boyd. Chris Boyd was out late on Saturday night in New York and Manhattan, and he was leaving an establishment, a lively establishment, at about 2 a.m. when a Democrat drove up in a very fancy, very expensive automobile and shot him. And he's in critical condition. He hasn't died yet, but he's in critical condition. They say he's in stable condition. But that's because Democrats are allowed to roam New York City free, and guns are illegal. But that doesn't really matter much, does it? And they have video of the creep in the car with a Michigan license plate, maybe Detroit. I'm just guessing. Isn't that amazing? So we've got that. Yeah, Chris Boyd left a trendy New York City hotspot with two other members of the New York Jets because they said, and apparently it was Chris Boyd himself who said he wanted to leave this club at 2 a.m. because it had a bad vibe. And there were a couple of groups of Democrat men in there arguing loudly with one another. And Chris Boyd was like, let's get out of here. The vibe here is no good. And as they were leaving, a Democrat shot him in the abdomen. And he may survive. And I hope he survives. And he should survive. And we've got all that. Also, the Trump administration has decided to discontinue the penny, the American penny, the U.S. penny. I still have some wheat pennies at home in a box somewhere. The old, like 1920s wheat pennies. But never mind that, because they minted what they say will be the last pennies. I predict the penny will make a comeback at some point. How do you buy something that's $9.99 if you don't have pennies? Huh? How does that happen? You can't have anything at 99 cents anymore if you don't have pennies. So you got to get rid of the whole 99 cents thing. And at gas stations, 99.9 cents. What is with that? But listen to this, because they said they minted the last pennies. And here's the headline of the New York Post. The headline is, last U.S. pennies could fetch up to $5 million after Mint shuts down production. $5 million. That'd be pretty good for a penny. It's a special penny, though. So we've got that going for us. We've got a lot of news, and boy, things going on today on Capitol Hill, the economy, the price of everything has become an issue, and that's fine. Let's see what the government can do about that, and they'll probably make everything more expensive. And the Democrats, they're still on the loose. So we've got at least 3 hours of stuff to talk about, and we are at 888-630-9625. Okay, let's go to the telephones, Michael. And, yeah, I've got a lot of audio for you. I got President Trump. I got crazy Democrats, and they're just getting crazier and crazier. But right now, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Jack, calling from the once great state of California. Jack, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Hey, so what was the California breakfast you had?
Well, today, let me see. What did I have? I had the banana, and I had the field of greens drinking stuff that made best. Oh, and 3 boiled eggs with salt and pepper and nothing more, sliced in half. 3 eggs, 1 banana, field of greens to drink. That's it.
So when you came to California for college, were you looking for a California girl like Katie Porker?
I was the first part, looking for a California girl. Like Katie Porter, I was I was praying that I wouldn't have any troubles like that.
Hey, so I just saw something catching up on your show, and just before I called, Swalwell, your buddy Eric Swalwell,
sure,
who was a DA, believe it or not, in Oakland area. Him and Ro Khanna, your other California buddy, they both got help from Fang Fang.
Oh, I didn't know Ro Khanna.
I didn't know it either. Ro Khanna, the hero, he's a Republican on the Fox, and he's a communist on all the other shows.
Yeah, good point. That's true, yeah.
Yeah, he got some Fang Fang. So I want you to always, please, never forget Fang Fang. There's something about it when you say Fang Fang that makes me laugh. I don't know why.
Now, when you say he got some Fang Fang, what do you mean by that, Jack?
I don't know. I hope it's just money. The funny thing is, right after Fang Fang left, it looks like Eric Swalwell got married right away. So I'm not sure what that might mean in some weird ways. But the thing about Swalwell, he's threatening everybody. I have a couple things I wanted to say. Swalwell is crazy. Last week he's threatening everybody. He's going to come after everybody. Mr. Swalwell, you can't do anything for 3.5 years. You've already, because you don't have the DOJ. He can't threaten anybody. Congress can't take anybody to court. So he thinks he's going to have the committees and all this stuff and try to destroy Trump, even if they take the Congress or the House. He can't do anything for 3.5 years. These Democrats want you to feel like they're on your back and they're taking power tomorrow, and it's a lie.
Well, they lie about everything. It's what they do. If they're talking, they're lying.
And please play the Howard Dean tape. AOC was accused of doing a Howard Dean movie. Please do the Howard Dean 24/7 campaign tape.
Howard Dean. Yeah, the permanent campaign. They've made everything better, these Democrats. Thanks, Jack. Turns out politics is full of crooks. And I got to tell you, that was a great call, Jack, from California. And Michael and I were sitting, and I was flogging myself. I feel like an idiot. How did I not know that Fang Fang was also involved with Ro Khanna? I haven't found anything said that they, were dating. That's a euphemism, like Eric Swalwell and Fang Fang, the Chinese Communist Party's secret agent sent to California to cultivate, obviously, Democrats to, enlist them into the service of the Chinese Communist secret spy agencies and have them working for the communists. And Eric Swalwell, he jumped right in with both moccasins there. And turns out that Fang Fang also volunteered for Ro Khanna's 2014 congressional campaign, which he lost, but he went on to win in 2016. He's obviously a Democrat, and it's true. He goes on Fox News, and he sounds like a reasonable, almost Republican kind of guy. Then he goes on MS-13, and he sounds like a communist because, the Democrat Party, if they're talking, they're lying. Aren't they amazing? They truly are something. And I've got more for you on that, too. And it always reminds me of a couple of things of James Hodgkinson, the Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer that shot Congressman Steve Scalise and nearly killed him. He was trying to kill the entire Republican baseball team. They were practicing for the congressional baseball game. Then, of course, there's James Earl Ray, who murdered Martin Luther King and he was a volunteer for the Democrat presidential campaign in 1968 of George Wallace, segregationist, racist Democrat, carrying on the party tradition. And the Democrat Party, they shoot Charlie Kirk, they shoot Donald Trump, they shoot Steve Scalise, they on any weekend they shoot members of the New York Jets in New York City, leaving bars at 2 a.m. And I haven't even gotten to Chicago yet, but we've got all that. Now, with that said, I see someone on the board who's talking about some stuff that we're talking about today. Let's go to the big board. Let's go to Jim, calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Hey, Jim. Sure.
I was listening to James Carville this weekend, and he was talking about expanding the Supreme Court to 13 judges. And I think, gee whiz, if Trump is listening, I sure would agree with James Carville that we need to increase it to 13 judges, and we need to do it right now. That would give us a 10-3 margin in the Supreme Court, and it would take them 21 judges to overcome us.
21. I like it. That's great stuff. I got to tell you, Jim, these people, and we have the audio you're talking about. What else did he do? What else did Carville then call for?
Oh, I don't remember because I was focused on that when he said it. I said, that's a great idea. We should do it right now.
And this is the thing. Like they for example, they gerrymander the heck out of every state that they control, from Maryland and Massachusetts and New Jersey to California, and they do it everywhere they go. And the Republicans in Texas noticed what the Democrats do, and they said, you know what? We should maybe take a look at redrawing our congressional boundaries here in Texas, too. Then every Democrat in the country, like Governor Wes Moore in Maryland, who is turning out to be an expletive deleted, and he's like, well, we've got one House seat in Maryland. With 8 House seats in Maryland, 1 belongs to a Republican. And the Democrat Wes Moore said, we're going to gerrymander that one out of existence. They have the governor's mansion, 2 Senate seats, 8 House seats. 7 of 8 House seats, and he wants all 8. So Wes Moore is starting to behave like a criminal from a third world beep hole, because he wants to get in good with his masters, and they are his masters in the Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? But Jim, hang in here for a sec, because we have the James Carville audio, and I think we have it in 3 sound bites, but listen to him. James Carville, who, the Clinton White House, and been leading the Democrats around by the nose, the ring in their nose. They all have rings in their nose. Have you noticed that? And that's not all. They've got rings in other places, too. You can't see all of their rings, but James Carville, and he's got several plans for the United States of America. One of them, and you remember the Supreme Court, because Harry Reid and the Democrats did away with the filibuster in the Senate to speed through Barack Hussein Obama's radical left-wing judge appointments, nominees. And Harry Reid did away with the filibuster. Oh, we'll push them all through with 50 votes because we've got 50 votes. And Barack Obama needs a lot of communists in the courts that'll be there for life, federal courts. And they can corrupt everything for decades to come, which is what the left does. They're a toxin. They're a poison. But here's James Carville over the weekend, and he's got several ideas. And Jim, starting for you, because of the Supreme Court wants back the Supreme Court. And again, Harry Reid, when he was the Democrat in charge of the Senate, doing away with the filibuster because Obama's black, so he's got to have all of his nominees get the bums rush through. Otherwise, you're a racist, coming from the party of the Confederate States of America and the KKK, the Democrat Party. And just amazing stuff. And then, you remember Mitch McConnell, the turtle, he said, you're going to regret this, and you may regret it sooner than you think. Then the next president was Donald Trump, first time around. Got 3 picks to the Supreme Court. And Mitch McConnell, God bless him, said, well, the Democrats said you didn't need 60 votes to confirm federal judges, so you don't need 60 votes to confirm federal judges. And they couldn't stop President Trump from getting 3 picks for the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, here's James Carville. They're all very angry and bitter and mentally ill, and they have gender issues.
I mean, this is the lowest the Supreme Court has been rated. And if you believe, as I do, that we need faith in not just the executive or the congressional branch of government, but the Supreme Court. And it is not written anywhere in the Constitution you have to have 9. That's just a number they came up with. I think it went from 7 to 9, but I'm not sure.
He doesn't know.
And I think the way to cure that very quickly is expand it to 13 and get some balance on the court.
Balance. That he calls that balance. They use the words, but they don't know what they mean. That is, Jim, that's James Carville for balance. He calls it. He's mentally ill. He's a pathological liar. He's a psychopath. That's not balance. That's theft. That's crime. That's third world banana republic, self-immolate stuff right there. Isn't that amazing? So the Fox News people with the headline, James Carville urges Democrats to consider expanding Supreme Court if they regain power. Veteran strategist also said the progressive left caused real damage to the Democrat Party with gender pronoun push. That's another thing. But hang in here a second, Jim, because James Carville, so he wants to pack the Supreme Court to 13, currently 9 justices, the Chief Justice of the United States, and 8 Associate Justices of the Supreme Court. And that's those are their titles. And here he's not done yet. So pack the Supreme Court so that we can start speaking, whatever they speak in Ouagadougou. We can become like a third world backward African nation with very little electricity, because that's where the left is bringing the United States. James Carville wasn't done.
FDR wanted to pack the court, and it was widely seen as a political mistake. So could it backfire?
Look, anything can backfire, but what is backfiring is a court that's slavishly adhering that says that President Trump is above the law.
That's a lie. That's just these guys want to start a civil war in the United States of America, and they're working very hard at it. And the Supreme Court is working very slavishly. You've had a couple of idiot Democrat justices say some incredibly ignorant, stupid, sophomoric, childish things lately. The Democrats put, women on the court because of their genitalia, and then they're surprised to learn that they're not the brightest judicial minds in America. Isn't that amazing? James Carville wasn't done yet because he's got more. And then indicting, how many assassins have to be arrested outside the homes of Supreme Court justices before the Democrats shut the heck up? Oh, yeah, speaking of Wes Moore, you see what his little abbreviation, his little cursey abbreviation. But James Carville, so pack the Supreme Court to 13, right? There are 9 now. So add 4 justices, and then it'll take forever and ever to undo the damage that they've done. And it's, the Supreme Court, they're the best, slavishly. No, it's the Constitution, it's the law, it's stare decisis, it's established precedent, it's the law of the land. They respect the law and the Constitution, and Carville shouldn't be allowed to use the word Constitution, but he wasn't done yet, Jim.
And I also think that the Democrats are going to have to move to admit the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico states, because right now, because we're 18% of the United States elects 52 senators. That's not even close to a reflection of the democracy in the country, and there's a way that you can address this imbalance.
I think if you dropped him out of a plane, he could be used as a flame retardant. I think that is about the dumbest. That is just astonishingly dumb. What, 18% of the country elects 52 senators. We have 50 senators, so nobody elects 52 senators in the United States. 18% of what? What in the name of God? Jim, I got to tell you, these people are not the brightest people in the world, and they're running the left-wing party in the United States of America.
Well, I believe Jim Carville is telling you exactly what the Democrats are going to do if they regain control, and we need to do it now.
Well, and that's what they incite, is that they incite you want an in-kind response. And that's why I brought up the redistricting in Texas, because Texas, they looked at what the Democrats had done in state after state after state. Stealing, you got, in Maryland, where they've had Republican governors and they've had Republican members of Congress, but the Democrats gerrymander the congressional districts to the point where they're pretty much guaranteed to hold all of them. They own 7 of the 8 House districts in the state of Maryland. And now the Democrat Governor Wes Moore is saying, we're going to gerrymander the last remaining House district out of existence because ooga booga, because we are the third world, and we're going to turn this country into an unrecognizable hellhole because we're the left. We're basically communists, whatever they call themselves. Doesn't matter so much because they lie about everything. But, Jim, go ahead.
They're appalled, and they cry foul when we do what they have been doing.
Well, yeah, that's right, and it's the old Russian playbook that we've talked about, the Soviet playbook, where they accuse you of doing whatever it is they're guilty of or what they're planning on doing next. And Carville used to be very mainstream and normal, and I guess he still is mainstream and normal inside today's Democrat Party. But today's Democrat Party is what is the word? A cancer. It's a cancer, I'm telling you, on the body politic of the United States of America, and they're
a virus that keeps spreading.
Yeah, it is. It's like monkeypox, and they're spreading monkeypox too. They're definitely the party of monkeypox. From what we can tell, they like monkeypox. They enjoy monkeypox. Yeah. So let's see. Pack the Supreme Court until there are 13 justices on the Supreme Court. Why 13? Why not? Would be his answer as he throws a bomb at you, a hand grenade, and then add D.C. and Puerto Rico as states. Why would we do that? D.C. is a federal district, and that is in the Constitution, your rectal aperture. I like to call James Carville a rectal aperture. I hope that's okay. And then this insane claim that 18% of America elects 52 senators. That is, he should be institutionalized for that. That is mental illness. There aren't 52 senators, but he's trying to create a country with 54 senators by giving D.C. statehood, 2 more permanent Democrat senators, and Puerto Rico statehood, they're a U.S. territory, 2 more permanent Democrat senators, and a lot more crime and murder and drug overdoses because, the Democrats, honestly, Jim, what do we mean? And listen, Jim is not alone when he says this is what the Democrats plan to do, and President Trump has mentioned this too. It's what the Democrats plan on doing. Why not just cut them off at the pass and do it before them and would make them look ridiculous? So they say, okay, well, now we're going to pack the Supreme Court not to 13 justices, but to 22 justices. And then really just oongala boongala, we are a third world country overnight.
Well, they want 13 only when they're in charge. When when the roles are reversed, they just cry about it.
Well, there are 9 justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, and honestly, this party is violent. They're crazy. They're assassinating people. They're shooting and wounding people while trying to assassinate people. They've organized. They've got these they're not really the brown shirts of the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. They're a cheap imitation of clownish, ill-educated, ignorant, brainwashed, indoctrinated lefties who don't know what the hell they're talking about. But Jim, I would say, and I appreciate your view, and that's why we put you on the radio and everything. I would say let's not pack the Supreme Court, but let's expose the Democrat Party as the third world rabble that they are. And let's make sure that the American people know that the Democrat Party is made up of third world rabble that are, they've been gerrymandering states for generations now and stealing seats in the House of Representatives. And now even people like Wes Moore in Maryland, who I've had a moderate amount of respect for over time. There are a few things to respect about him, but boy, he's losing his grip on civilization and on being an American because now he sounds like an angry, vicious criminal who's here to steal everything that the Democrats can steal to line their own pockets and buy beach houses and private planes. And they are the third world. He's a disgrace. So we got that going for us. Jim, thank you for calling in. Great stuff. James Carville wanted to increase the number of Supreme Court justices to 13. And so, well, let's beat them to it. That's what they say out loud they're going to do. Let's take that arrow out of their quiver, Jim says. We're at 888-630-9625.
It is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Well, I'm having another math morning, that's right, obviously 100 senators I am in the United States Senate. But I'm still marveling at James Carville. I was trying to do the math with him because, hey, California only gets 2 senators and North Dakota gets 2 senators. So he's saying 18%. This is his false claim. 18% of the population gets to elect 52 senators is what James Carville said. And then that's where my morning math brain went off the rails. And I apologize for that. But I was corrected quite rapidly by several people that know me and text me. And I thank you for that. That's great. But James Carville, with all his nutty, radical claims, and 18% of the population elect 52 senators. And the Democrats want to keep their slaves again. So you never know where they're going to go next. All right, let's go to we've got so much stuff today. Let's go to Matt calling from Rockville, Maryland. Matthew, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, Matt, very good, except for my math.
Yeah. I think what he was talking about there was just the populations of like Wyoming and South Dakota and all that.
Right.
Yeah. But what I wanted to call about was I think Trump should try packing the Supreme Court and getting that number up to 13. Now, I'm not in favor of doing that, but we know that Democrats will. We're just, kind of game theorying it out, and we need to do it before they do. And here's why. If it goes through and it's fine, we have a Supreme Court for generations. If it doesn't and it's challenged, hopeful, and it said that, no, it has to stay at this number, then it codifies it that it will stay 9. It is a win-win for Trump and Republicans and for normalcy and for people that know what a woman is.
I like it. I've got to say that's pretty good. The secondary effects, and you're right. And then it forces the Democrats to fight against packing and stacking the Supreme Court and adding justices to the Supreme Court. So politically, it cuts them off at the pass because if they, 50 years from now, come to power again, say, you guys fought in the Supreme Court against adding justices to the Supreme Court, but now that you're in power, you want to add justices to the Supreme Court? Of course, also, Matt, they don't care about hypocrisy and double standards, do they?
Not at all.
Not at all. But you brought it to the next level. Thank you, Matt. Good stuff.